Welcome to another edition of Community Conversations. I'm Frederick County Executive Jan Gardner. And joining me as my guest today is Major General Barbara Holcomb, who's the commander of the U.S. Army Medical Research and Material Command at Fort Detrick. She's relatively new to our community, so I want to start off by welcoming you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being my guest today. I wanted to take this opportunity to really use this program to introduce you to the residents of Frederick County. So maybe you can start off by just sharing a little bit of information about your background.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the invitation. I'm new to Frederick, certainly never been assigned in this part of the country before, but 29 years in the Army as an Army nurse. I grew up in Montana and spent a lot of time in the South and Southwest, most recently in Texas. So I'm excited to be here. As I said, nursing, my nursing experience was in the ER primarily, but a little bit of everything, and a lot of time in command and in field hospitals and deployed, and so a pretty broad spectrum of nursing. So this is a wonderful opportunity.
Well, most people would not think they would have a commander of all of the many multitude of agencies at Fort Detrick come from a nursing background. So how did you make that transition to leadership out of nursing?
It really started back after about 10 years in service, when I was able to be a company commander and started at a very low level. And certainly I tell all the nurses that I work with now, as the Chief of the Army Nurse Corps, which is a second hat, that you can lead from wherever you're at. So, nurses as a leader, leading a family through a crisis is a form of leadership. So you don't actually need to be in a leadership position to be a leader.
I think that's a very good message for people, because I think people can contribute and really be a leader in whatever they choose to do in their life or in their career. So, and I know from the people I know in the medical profession that sometimes they have to be very commanding in an emergency situation.
Yes.
So,
and part of being a good leader is being a good follower, which means then you work well on a team, and that's really what it's all about. Whether it's a healthcare field or command or just an Army unit, you have to have the teamwork.
So now, what's your experience at Fort Detrick been like so far? There's lots of complex agencies there, a lot of disparate functions at Fort Detrick. So how is it going so far?
I've really been in the learning mode for the last 75 days or so. That's about the time frame it's been, and so I would say we can say the fire hose has been turned on pretty high pressure, trying to learn all the different organizations. Been focused within my organization, which has 12 subordinate units, and some of them are here on the installation and some of them are out in various other locations. And I'll start traveling next week to get out to some of them, but learning the organizations on the installation, learning how the installation itself operates through the Garrison and Installation Management Command, and then meeting the other tenant organizations, the Signal Brigade that's there, the other interagencies that are there, and learning what they do and how we can collaborate.
Yes. Well, we feel in our community that Fort Detrick is an important part of who we are in Frederick. We've had longstanding partnerships in a number of areas.
Sure.
We most often work on those with the garrison commander, because a lot of them, I always view the garrison commander as kind of the mayor of Fort Detrick, and have similar roles to Mayor McClement and myself in county government. But we also have some real partnerships in terms of the research that's being done there, spinning off to have other applications in the public health and private health sectors.
Absolutely.
And creating jobs, and that technology transfer and that job creation has been important to our community. So one of the things I like about Frederick County and Fort Detrick is that a lot of that research is about improving people's health. Yes. Not just here in our region, but worldwide, and certainly the focus in the military is keeping the warfighter healthy wherever they are, representing us as a country member. but there's so many benefits beyond that. So what kind of partnerships and collaborations do you look forward to? What changes do you see coming at Fort Detrick?
I'm not sure there'll be any significant changes, certainly tightening relationships, and our research has to be focused on the requirements for the future. You know, we typically look at what we've done in the past and then how can we apply that to the future, but we have to look at the future and determine what are the threats that our soldiers are going to be facing, and that can be in the form of, you know, weapon systems. It might be in the form of disease in some area that's endemic to that we are never exposed to, and you think of the Zika virus, you think of Ebola, you think of some of those other things that some of our folks have been working on for 20 years.
Yes. Or longer even.
And able to have a vaccine now that we're testing for, you know, Zika, hopefully very soon. And so there's a lot of work that can be done that the focus is on the soldiers, the military, the service members, because it really is all services. And then a lot of that spills over to the public health arena and the community.
Yes. So we have seen over recent years that diseases that we thought were really going to stay in other parts of the world and that people really weren't too concerned about locally, now with the advent of global travel, and there really are potentially going to impact you know, the whole entire country and the globe. And so we see the greater importance and interest in some of these diseases that have been out there for a long time. And the research becomes more important to, I think, the general public.
I think so. We have to be careful not to panic. We have to be careful to you know, some of them are easily treated just with, you know, protection, insect repellent, washing your hands, those kinds of things that people can do to defend themselves, so to speak. But just take those precautions when you travel, and then not hyper, you know, sensitize it through the media and through other avenues. We just have to educate people and stay calm.
Well, we've always had some concern and interest about, you know, infectious disease and contagious diseases and the research that's done on those. Right. Certainly when you're on a secure facility like Fort Detrick, there's multiple levels of security and protocols that protect the health of your employees and all the agency employees that work there. And so we do want to have the research done to promote public health. Right. So it's an interesting balance and an interesting debate that's been out there for a long time.
Sure. Yeah, but it's important to do the research, and that way you can help educate and prevent.
Yes, that's right. So anything new planned for the future at Fort Detrick?
You know, one of the things experiences I've had in other locations is an Adopt the School program, where different units have adopted a school and worked with the children in the school, sometimes just as a mentor. It might be as a math tutor. It might be, you know, helping somebody with spelling. And that's not in place here. And so it's something I'm talking to the commanders on the installation to see if they're interested in doing something along that line. And then, of course, would need to talk with the educators to see if it's a need for the community. But it's worked well in other locations. It's sort of a win-win because it's along the lines of a big brother, big sister relationship. You know, the unit can help out the school in different activities, and then the unit, it's sort of a educational experience for the children too, to get exposure to the military and see the human side of the military, and perhaps, you know, garner some interest. We're very supportive of the STEM program and the GEM program, and so this is just another way of perhaps building a relationship.
The educational programs are important in lots of ways. I mean, one of them is to make sure we have students becoming interested in the science and technology and engineering and understand what positions there are out there in the future, so we have that pipeline of workforce.
Right.
And I think the education partnership is also important, so that as we have military who comes into the fort, that we help them become part of our community, because many people put their children into our local schools.
Absolutely.
And so I think that is a benefit to the military family as well. And we want to make sure that we support that military family for as long as they're here. And I know that you have moved many times, and you know that that community adjustment is important to people being successful in whatever job they're doing.
It is, and it's so, some communities make it much easier than others. Frederick's been very welcoming to me and my family, so it makes a big difference, especially to the family members. You know, if I go to work and I'm busy and doing what I need to do, if the family's at home and doesn't know anybody, doesn't really know where to go or who to, you know, contact, it's much more difficult for them. So I think it's really important to have that open arms relationship.
Well, we really look forward to working with you as you learn more about what's happening at Fort Detrick, and if there's any way that we can support you in your mission, we're happy to do so. We have appreciated our longstanding relationships with Fort Detrick. We have a great relationship with the fire department and with hazmat. In fact, for many years, all of our hazmat in the whole county came from Fort Detrick, and there's so many other things that we have collaborated on a functional level. And so I really have appreciated that, and I think having the jobs here and the type of work that's being done here has been really beneficial to our community and our stability, and we certainly want to support the mission that you have to keep our country safe.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be at MRMC and to lead Fort Detrick, and I'm excited for the opportunity and really look forward to being part of the community.
All right. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you to our viewers for joining us today. I hope you learned a little bit about our new Major General, Barbara Holcomb, who is our commander at U.S. Army Medical Research and Material Command at Fort Detrick. It's an important position in our community, and it's an important position in our country. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you join us again in the near future.